Warning. Warning. The following video contains mature content not suitable for children or the easily offended. Please keep this in mind when watching. Thank you and please enjoy.
Astral Chain is an action-adventure game developed by Platinum Games and published by Nintendo. You may know Platinum from their other action-packed titles like Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, Nier Automata, and The Legend of Ko. After the cancellation of the Microsoft exclusive Scalebound, rest in peace, Platinum began working on a new IP to further evolve their action formula. Thus, Astral Chain was born, and it has been met with glowing reviews that it well and truly deserves. A great mix of over-the-top action, visuals to die for, and a soundtrack that wouldn't be amiss at a rave makes a game that is satisfying and just downright fun to play. So, what the frick is so kick-ass about Astral Chain? Our story begins at the Igos Research Institute, where scientists are conducting a very crucial experiment. Summoning a creature known as a chimera, they capture and chain it up because that's totally not going to be problematic later on. Yosef, the commander of Neuron, asks to see the next candidates for the task force, and this is where the twins come in. You get to choose between either the male or female twin as your player character.
Hey Eb, can we make her look like me?
You can certainly give it a shot. Well, we tried.
Close enough, I guess.
Anyway, after customizing the look of whichever twin you choose, you jump into the next scene where our hero is racing off to aid in fending off an aberration attack, beating your way through the hordes of monstrosities you meet up with Akira, your twin sibling who will be whichever one you didn't choose at the start. Both of you are attacked by an invisible enemy when suddenly a group led by your adoptive father wielding legions shows up to rescue your sorry butts.
Look, a puppy. Ouch.
You and your twin are gifted with your very own legions, take down your first chimera, and now you're a video game protagonist. Congratulations! Returning to Neuron headquarters, Yosef gives you a complimentary lore dump before being briefed on your next mission by Olive. While out on this mission, however, you suddenly get grabbed by a giant hand and are pulled through a gate. Fighting off Mr. Grabby Hands, the rest of your squadron shows up to help you and a group of civilians out, but things take a turn for the worse when all of the legions break free and turn on you. Aw, gee, I didn't see that one coming at all. Managing to weaken and recapture your own legion, your sync rate goes off the charts and you become much more powerful. You are a Legionis, someone with an incredible affinity for wielding legions and being able to give yourself a temporary hair dye. Fighting off the rest of the rogue legions, you begin to make your escape but aren't able to get away fast enough before they catch up. Max stays behind to buy you time to get away. This seems to be a bit of a common trend in the games I've been playing. Finally making it back to the real world, you pass out for 3 days. Hashtag relatable. And are then tasked with capturing the rest of the rogue legions and continuing your fight for humanity's survival. Now things do get a little bit more complicated once more allies and antagonists are introduced, but the main core of the story isn't going to throw you for a loop. The player character is that not-so-silent protagonist. Akira is the most complex character because while they do want to support you, they also harbor jealous feelings towards your skills and abilities. The rest of the side characters like Jin, Alicia, and Olive are good, but they definitely come across as filling a role to play. I will say that one of the big antagonists that shows up is my favorite character in the game, and this is what I want from more video game villains. However, this game also has the single most terrifying character in all of gaming, Lappy. So the game has a solid, if sometimes predictable story that doesn't overstay its welcome over the roughly 20-hour experience. It's a Platinum game. Okay, fine. Astral Chain's gameplay is half super fast high-action combat with guns and explosions and perfect dodges, and the other half is trash collecting and investigation time. Starting off, you have the X-Baton, a weapon that can change between a baton for quick hits and long combos, and a gun to attack from afar and to hit flying enemies. A little bit into the game, you also get a sword form that's slow but hits hard and smashes through enemy defenses. You can switch between them during combat and upgrade them to make them stronger and unlock new moves. You can also dodge and flip your way across the battlefield. Dodging in this game can be a bit tricky to get the timing on, since only perfect dodges give you invincibility frames, and even then you can still get clipped by a follow-up attack. Once you get access to the legions, that's where the combat really escalates. You start off by being able to summon a legion that automatically attacks enemies for you, and you can use the chain links between you to bind up enemies. Later on, you can also use sync attacks with your legion. These are all different depending on what type of legion, what attack or move you use, the legion skills, what you ate for dinner last week, etc. Sync attacks are quite strong and do devastating damage if used well, but they can also miss and use up more energy, so make sure you're paying attention to everything on screen. The legions come in 5 varieties: the sword one for slicing enemies to ribbons, the arm one for grabbing and smashing, the beast one to use howl because it's overpowered, the axe one for shields and explosions, and the arrow one is here too. There are a plethora of items at your disposal as well, including medicine, energy recharges, stat boosting drinks, and Neuron approved AA batteries. Long lasting and super durable for keeping Neuron officers not dead. Now comes in bulk packs of 16, only $999.95. Order yours today.
Warning, batteries not actually for sale. Please don't send us money or try and use batteries to bring the dead back to life. Zombies are not worth it.
The key to combat is switching between your weapon types and legions and using sync attacks to rack up damage while also trying to avoid being surrounded. It can become overwhelming with how many variables you need to take into account, but you do get the hang of it eventually. The second, not nearly as exciting part of the game is basically your police work that doesn't involve smashing heads in. Helping lost children, picking up trash, using your legion as a vacuum to clean corruption, sliding puzzles from that one Scooby-Doo game, and this atrocious box balancing and
Censored.
You Platinum for making me use motion controls. Overall, the extra side content is okay. It's a good break from the action, but sometimes it's a bit too tedious and completely stops the game's momentum. To finish off this already bloated section of the video, let's talk rankings. At the end of the missions and at the very end of the file, you get a ranking that tells you how well you did the things you did. The rankings are only available at standard difficulty or higher and are a bit confusing. You can get through a fight unscathed and only get a C, while another fight you can exhaust your healing supplies and still get an S+. The rankings actually look at your score, so my advice is to spam those sync attacks as much as possible to rack up the points. So the combat is super fun and complex, but the side content, while sometimes a good distraction, feels lacking and breaks up the pace a bit too much. This game is beautiful. The art direction is amazing, especially with the environments. While it's something that has been done before, the futuristic dystopia look fits the game perfectly. Neuron headquarters is stylish and functional, sporting a lot of high-tech gear. The main city is a really cool mix of wooden boardwalks and neon lights and signs. The mall is gigantic and probably looks really pretty before someone threw up all over it. And then we have the Astral Chain. While it's very samey for the time you're there, it works at showing a place that is very unknown and dangerous. The design fits in well with the narrative. In regards to character design, some definitely stand out more than others, but overall none of them are egregiously bad, just not all that exciting. The player character can be slightly customized if you don't mind them looking completely different to your twin. You can also customize your equipment and unlock color schemes to personalize your Neuron officer to your liking. Side characters range from almost anime protagonists to I wonder how much hair dye you go through. The last point I'll touch on is the animation, especially in the combat. Your attacks are weighty and show the impact really well, and enemy attacks are telegraphed enough so that you can react without it looking like a bad stunt performance.
I like that you kneel down when talking to children.
Yeah, it's a nice touch since you're an officer, so you're trying to make the child feel safe and not threatened. So overall, the game's looks are very stylish and weave into the story seamlessly. This soundtrack is a banger. A high emphasis on electronic sounds to further push the cyber theme. I loved every track in this game. The Ark Mall and Maison Forest tracks are very catchy and work as perfect background music during investigations. But when a battle starts, they change to a much more heavy metal style to get the blood pumping, and it just makes you want to punch something. The boss themes utilize orchestra and choir to really sell the scale and epicness of these fights. And of course, we can't forget about the best hub track to ever grace the ears of gamers everywhere. The English dubbing is pretty solid and well done. You have some well-known talents such as Brianna Knickerbocker, Elizabeth Maxwell, and Cassandra I'm Now in Every Video Game Ever, Lee Morris, but also some actors who, as far as I can tell, are doing their first role ever. Em Elridge playing Olive and Megan Hensley playing Brenda both do an awesome job, and I hope to hear them in future roles. I do wish the lip sync matched up better, but that's just a minor nitpick. So great voice performances overall, and one of the best soundtracks in video games to date.
I couldn't think of anything philosophical to ask, so how about we give some advice for those starting out?
I guess we can do that. While we're certainly no experts on the game, there are a couple of things we can share from our initial playthrough.
So here are a bunch of tips and things you should know before you get started.
Make sure you dismiss your Legion before the gauge runs out so that it refills faster and you can bring the pain. While it can be a chore, collecting the red corruption can temporarily double the energy gauge, so I highly recommend it.
Binding up enemies using the chain is very effective when there's a lot on screen, but be wary that subsequent bindings won't last as long. Use the auto bind skill to quickly chain up a group without having to thread your Legion around the enemies.
Use Howl. I can't stress this enough. When you get the Beast Legion, use Howl. It's an area of effect stun and making enemies not be able to move will save your butt. Also, the Arm Legion can interrupt enemy attacks by grabbing them.
Sell all the scrap items you find except for the cat food for quick and easy cash. Don't forget you can also buy healing items as well as grenades and drones at the Neuron headquarters. Capitalism is your friend and will help you to not die.
Be sure to upgrade your legions to gain new sync attacks, skills, and stat boosts to make your perfect monster slave. Don't do what I did and forget to check the orders tab in the menu, as it will give you material codes for upgrades as well as cosmetic items. Doing the extra side missions will give you better rewards and level you up faster to gain more health, and remember that vending machine drinks not only heal you but also give you temporary stat boost.
Try and keep your healing items and battery charges for boss fights, cause you will definitely need them, especially for the this isn't even my final form ones. Lastly, if you're getting smeared across the walls, you can start a file again and drop the difficulty, or use Unchained mode, which plays the game for you.
Are we gonna get sued for this? We basically stole this segment from someone else.
Probably. Maybe we should have thought this through better.
Yeah, maybe. Astral Chain is a very sleek and stylish game with a difficult-to-master combat system and a story that, while safe at times, doesn't come across as bloated and still has some interesting moments. With a soundtrack that just slaps and a good chunk of post-game content, I highly recommend this game if you're missing some action in your life. The game is available to purchase on the Nintendo Switch. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope you have an awesome day.